So, Ellen Casson and I, Tom Davis, are here visiting Carl Schnee. And Carl, it's good to see you. I haven't been with you for such a long while.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you.
It's good to be with you.
As I told you when I last saw you, you were beardless.
Yes. Well, they don't need to see me right now. But we've visited Carl today because, as the audience knows, you've had some health problems recently. We didn't know whether you'd be able to visit with the audience when you receive your award at the Delaware Center for Justice. And I have a couple of questions which I've let Carl look at ahead of time. One has to do with how you got into this work, dedication to justice in Delaware. You were a civil lawyer, I think, to start with.
I was what?
A civil lawyer, not a prosecutor, or not a litigator. Is that correct?
No, I was, early in my career, I was the first assistant public defender. So when the office was created in the 60s by Governor Terry, he appointed the public defender who served at his leisure.
I see.
Actually, no, I think it was a 6-year term. And he asked me to be his first assistant. So I was defending criminal cases as a public defender for in the 60s.
I see. Okay. And was it that experience that convinced you that you needed to do something special for justice in Delaware?
You know, I'm not really sure how I actually got started. I know I did some work in the field of trying to help in the criminal justice system. Excuse me. And I'm not sure when it started. I do know that in 1985, I was appointed by Governor Casson to chair the Criminal Justice Council, which was a statewide organization and had just been started. And that got me involved with criminal justice issues. The Criminal Justice Council was made up of various persons involved in the system, such as the prosecutors, judges, public defender, probation, etc. And as chair of that committee for about 8 years, I was deeply involved in the planning for the criminal justice system and where all the federal money went. And that really opened my eyes. It was just a fabulous experience. Looking back, I can't tell you how much we accomplished because the same problems exist to a certain extent. But that really got me involved in looking at these kinds of issues. And since I was there for 8 years or so, it took a lot of time. And the person who was the executive director, his name was Tom Quinn, and he was a criminal justice planner, and just a wonderful guy, and very, very knowledgeable, easy to talk to, easy to run new ideas by, and he really got me interested in the overall system problems because he was so willing to look into new issues.
Wow.
And after that, I continued my involvement in a lot of other areas.
Yeah. And you may recall that you and I got to know each other because of the ad hoc committee that you chaired.
Right.
Which had to do with using the volunteer efforts of local artists, especially, to be with youngsters who were incarcerated in various places. How did that work start?
Janet Laban, who was the the executive of DCJ for many years, she and I were talking one day, and we talked very, very often, that there was no program in the criminal justice system for art for incarcerated people. And we decided that we would look at the juvenile system. So the two of us created what we couldn't think of a better name, the ad hoc art committee for the Ferris School. And we got about 10 or 15 volunteers, including you at one point, to look at that and see how we could get artwork to the kids at Ferris. And some of it they did themselves. For example, we had a photographer come in and volunteer his time and show them how to make photographs. And that's still in existence. Since I've been sick, I don't know what's happened with it, but it's about 12 or so years old.
That's magnificent.
And that also was a very rewarding thing because the kids at Ferris, most of them, never accomplished anything. And you'd be hard-pressed to ask a young man at Ferris, what good things have you done? Well, this gave them something they could be proud of. And they were, and they did a very, very nice job in every area. And that was very rewarding.
That's wonderful. Can you think of other things that you would point to and say, I feel really proud that I and my colleagues accomplished this at the DCH, not DCH, Delaware Center for Justice?
Yeah, again, Janet and I worked together on a number of projects. Excuse me. Most of them I was just, as an individual. Janet had the background with the DCJ, so we would talk frequently about, can we do this, can we do that? And one of the things that we started together, started about 3 years ago. We both realized that Patrick McCarthy, who had been active here in the juvenile justice system, was now the head of the Annie E. Casey Foundation, which is a major foundation, does an awful lot of good things with the kids. And I had gotten to know Patrick very well in the early 90s. We both worked on Ferris issues. So I called Patrick, we got together, and we talked about what we could do for juveniles that wasn't being done in the state of Delaware. And all that evolved into, excuse me, a program where we're working with kids in foster care and how we can help them, etc. And without the Annie E. Casey Foundation and its background, we probably wouldn't have gotten it started. From there, we started working with the Jim Casey Foundation, which is part of Annie E. Casey. And it's been a great, great experience.
Wonderful.
And if Janet were here, she'd tell you the same thing.
That's great. I gave you a couple of questions, but I'll add one more to it. And that is, since this video may very well be on the internet, on your website, what might you say to someone who is visiting your website the first time about how they could get involved to help justice in Delaware?
Great question. There's so many organizations that are out there. It would depend on what that person wanted to do. For example, just to sit down with Joanna Champney, who's the executive of DCJ, that would help that person know what's going on. And Joanna would want to find out what that person's specific interests were. So I think it's actually pretty easy in Delaware to get involved because Delaware is so small and so many people are willing to help.
Thank you very much, Carl. It's been good being with you today.
Thank you.
And we congratulate you on your award that you will receive soon.
Thank you.